So I call the 2019 annual meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners to order. And I guess I request if Attorney Clooney could take over for the purposes of election of officers.
I call the annual meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners to order. First order of business, are there any nominations for the office of President of the Water Board?
I'll make a nomination for Dennis Croswell.
I'll second it.
Nomination made, nomination seconded. Is there any discussion? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations?
I move the nominations be closed.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, the nominations are closed. And I therefore request that one vote be cast and that Dennis Croswell be nominated and elected as President of the Water Board. I therefore turn over the chair of the meeting to the new incoming President for election of other officers.
Congratulations.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you.
My deep sympathy.
I wasn't going to say that.
He's got to put up with me.
I will now entertain
That was the story.
nominations for secretary.
I'll nominate Robert, how do I say your last name?
Najelski.
Najelski. Najelski, thank you. And secretary.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Or hear any other nominations for secretary? Can I have a motion to close nominations?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Okay, I have to ask the assistant secretary to cast one vote for Bob as secretary. Committee assignments, any requests for changes to the current assignments? Hearing none, we'll continue the committee assignments as in the past. I guess motion to adjourn then?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second it.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I guess the annual meeting is adjourned.
What we can do is, just to refresh everybody's mind, we'll send out a new list, updated telephone list, and committee
Okay.
assignments, so everybody has all that.
And set a date for the next annual meeting.
Yes, the next annual meeting is set for June 10th, 2020.
12.
20,
No, next year is June
Next year.
10th, at least according to,
What's in my ear?
yeah, I looked it up when I did that, you know.
Did we send a little blurb to the paper announcing that we have
We had never,
elected new officers? Blah, blah,
we
blah?
never had, but we should.
Yeah, it'd be nice to do that.
I can do that.
okay, we're ready for the monthly meeting. I'll call the June meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners to order. First on the agenda is reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a
I'll make a
motion?
motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. Presentation of bills and accounts.
I move that we accept the bills as presented.
Second it.
Okay. Any other discussion? Otherwise, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Carried. Cooper Lake improvements.
Okay, we're rolling right along. We mentioned last month, I told you that there's a pre-permit meeting trying to be scheduled with DEC and all the other regulators that have a say in the permit and how we do these things. We've discussed it, we've identified all the people that need to be at the meeting, or Greg DeViro has, but we still don't have a date. We're hoping for sometime in July. Because DEC has an internal process where we have to fill out a pre-permit meeting application. And they do have a lot of people, a lot of different departments need to be represented. So we're just kind of waiting on that. We've given them some dates and hopefully they'll get back to us sooner than later. We do have a meeting on the 24th at the plant to coordinate the Shokan permit review, that we're getting. We have filed everything, it's into the DEP. we should be hearing back from them with any other documentation that they might need, or any comments to the plans that we've submitted. And this meeting is to coordinate with both CDM and Schnabel. CDM did the permit application for the Ashokian connection, but they're also doing all the intake piping work for the actual dam remediation. And so we kind of felt we needed to have, the CDM is a sub-consultant to Schnabel on this project, so we needed to have a meeting with us and them to kind of coordinate that review and make sure we've got all our bases covered. So that's gonna be the 24th at 10 a.m. at the plant.
And that's with CDM and Schnabel and
right.
us.
And us, and that's it. The other meeting will be a much bigger. And at the other meeting, once I have a date, we'll invite supervisors from Woodstock and Ulster and give them both an overview of what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Okay.
Be a good opportunity for them to ask questions and kind of get to that. The only other thing is, I think, this fall, we probably should look at doing some public outreach about this project. Maybe offer, I know it's an election year, but offer to go to some of the ward meetings if the aldermen want us to be there, kind of give a little summary of the project, and to maybe have a couple of public sessions, see if we can sign up the council chambers, because this room is probably a little too small. To just kind of go over the project, tell them why it's necessary, what we're doing, the costs involved, what the impacts are going to be, so people aren't shocked by it.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
And so probably in the fall is a good time. We've got, vacations are coming up, and nobody's really thinking about that stuff. But in September or October might be a good time, and we'll talk about that some more. But I think we should start thinking about how we want to do that.
And pre-permits will be further down the road too.
Yeah, we'll be much further down the road, and we'll have a better date on when construction and all that other stuff is going to happen.
And we also need to do something with Woodstock at some point in time too, right? Well,
Oh,
I
the
mean,
meeting
one-
up there.
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
With a public meeting there,
Yes.
because I think we'll have more comment from the Woodstock residents. Because once you start announcing somehow that we're having a public meeting about the
Right.
dam at Cooper Lake down here for Kingston residents,
Well, we'll do the same up there. But
we're gonna have, that place is gonna be more packed with Woodstock
Good point.
residents than with Kingston
And
residents.
the issues are very different. Their Woodstock issues are quality of life issues, what's the noise gonna be like, where are the trucks gonna be? People in Kingston, I'm sure, are less concerned about that. They're looking at what the costs are gonna be and all that. So absolutely, and that's
So
why.
we gotta be prepared when we
Well, I
go
think they
here.
need to both be scheduled at the same time.
Okay.
And you're right, and I think that the suggestion I would have is after the meeting on July meeting with the DEC and that Bill McKenna, we get the folks from the supervisor and anybody else who wants to bring from the town board to this meeting, then we can talk to him about where and when and how and what he'd like to see.
I guess people here are gonna be interested in the rate impact.
Sure, sure, I mean,
They wouldn't care if you flooded Woodstock, but.
some would, some wouldn't. It depends. Yeah, so.
Okay, moving on, the Scada System.
Yeah, we're moving on that. We're starting to install panels in the pump stations tomorrow, control panels. We purchased, last month we authorized not to exceed $75,000 for the purchase of software and hardware. We spent $52,000 of that for the programming software and the historian software. And so they're both in place. You buy them today, and that afternoon you get the keys and the licenses via email, and you're, so we don't actually,
You don't have anything in your hands.
you don't have anything in your hand, but we've already, it's, for an older person, it's a little unsettling, but you have to get used to it.
Give me something.
Yeah.
Just give me something.
I printed out the email.
Receipt, anything.
Yeah, I printed out the receipt, the email. We just heard from EFC. We're moving along with that. We have they've accepted PCS's, that's our contractor, their work plan in terms of minority and women business commitments. They've approved that plan. So that means we'll be able to get the money to pay them. That's how that works. And it sounds as if, and Matt, jump in here, that the loan for the balance of the funding has been authorized and will close in September.
Yeah, my contact is, he's expecting September, the formal approval by September, because it's based on their board meeting, so the board meetings line up, so we're looking at September for the additional approval for the funds.
That's the extra
Yes.
600,000?
Yes.
And obviously, that meant that the finance committee authorized it, as did the full council on June 4th. We got the signed resolution and Matt forwarded it to him, so we kind of told that story backwards. But it all fell in place. Matt came with me to the finance meeting, which was directly after last month's meeting. And so, there'll be two of us able to do that in the future.
So the total price for that whole project, that's what we voted on last meeting too, was to
Yes.
change that, right?
Yes, updated the numbers. Yes, it was 3,255,121.25.
Yeah.
To reflect some additional work and some other changes in the funding. The jury was out whether we really needed to do that or not, because some of that is grant money and some of it is loan money, and if we back out the grant money, then our current bond authorization was good, but we decided rather than wait for them to chaw that back and forth, we just go ahead and get this done. So we'll be covered no matter what.
And so when do we expect, is there a expected date when everything's gonna be?
July or August.
Okay.
It'll be before the loan closes. So there'll be some of that money that we might have to pay out of pocket and then get reimbursed. It's possible that could happen. It's also possible that they won't finish when they say they will, so. So far, we're on schedule.
Transmission main rehab project.
We're out to bid on that right now. We advertised on the 22nd of May. We had a pre-bid conference on the 5th of June. We had 5 contractors there, and a 6th subsequently took out plans. I'm pleased with that amount of interest. There was a couple of contractors there that are local. Harold was one of the people at the pre-bid conference. Merit Construction and Saugerties picked them up afterward. OCS, who did the project at the filter plant, they were at the pre-bid meeting. They're interested in this project. Grand Street Construction, which has done a lot of projects on the city sewer, they're out of Cortland. We've worked with them.
Cortland as in?
Cortland, New York.
New York, okay.
And those fellows were quite impressive in that generally the guys show up at the pre-bid meeting, they haven't looked at the plans, haven't looked at the specs. These guys, they had been through that book. I mean, they had really pointed, but they even had a list on page 52. It was, people are taking it seriously, so we should have some good bids. That's always a positive.
And when are they due back?
Well, they were originally due back the 26th of June. But because of all of the questions that we got at the pre-bid meeting, in talking to both Tom Lawston and Paul Cabral, they're both from CDM, they're both working on this kind of together, doing different parts. We all agreed that we should push those bids back to this 12th of July, if that's okay with the board, because there is such a level of interest. Any question that comes in has to come in writing. It has to go out to all the plan holders. And then there's a 10-day window before those bids are due that you have to stop. And so we'd rather get good bids in that are solid and extended. So that means that we won't be able to award it at the next board meeting, which is the 10th. And I'd like to float the request to maybe have a special meeting to award that contract.
Okay. What do you need to do in order to change the date? You have to just be published?
He's already, I mean, to be honest with you, he's already said, I said, just go ahead and do it, because he had to tell him. I said, I don't think the board's gonna object to moving the due date for the bids back, especially if it means getting more solid bids. There's nothing worse than getting bids and having somebody withdraw one. We'll have a pre-construction meeting on or about August 1st, so we'd like to keep that schedule sort of solid. But, you know, just to remind people, and Bill, jump in here if you disagree, but we can do a special meeting and people can call in by phone. I mean, as long as you participate, you know, we have a quorum. At that meeting, if we accept the bids on the 12th, by the following, our meeting is the 17th, we push them back to the 17th. Let me say that again. The bids are now going to be due on the 12th. CDM would be ready with a recommendation for award by the following week, by the 19th.
19th?
By the 19th. So, anytime between the 19th, you know, around that time, I can send out a poll and ask people what their availability is, and we can do that. Worst case scenario is we gotta wait until August. So we lose a couple weeks. The thing the big lead time is the concrete vaults. They take 6 to 8 weeks to get ordered. So you need to have the contract awarded so that can happen. And we can't cut trees down until October 1st because of that.
And especially the schedule is sort of tight.
Schedule's very tight.
Right.
And so we don't want to lose 2 weeks because of a board meeting, so if we can have a special meeting somewhere in there, even
Right.
if people can
Call in, right.
call in for 10 minutes and it's pretty perfunctory. We'll get the notification of award out to everybody, so everybody sees CDM's recommendation, and it should be a 10-minute
Right.
meeting.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
Bill's filed all the easements, so we're ready to rock and roll.
If you're gonna have a call-in meeting, you should adjourn to that date, so they don't adjourn the meeting, you don't have to publish again for a new meeting.
Okay.
You
But
know,
if we have to publish for a new meeting, that's not such a big deal, is it?
No, but I mean, you could,
Okay.
if you know the date you're gonna do it, you could adjourn this. When do you think you're gonna have board?
Well, it's up to everybody's schedule. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I'm okay.
Well, we're gonna have a meeting on July 10th.
Right,
Our next meeting is July 10th.
right.
Regular.
At that, a regular meeting, and at that point in time, we'll then know everybody's schedule.
We'll adjourn that meeting.
That meeting is the one we'll adjourn into the special meeting.
Adjourn to, right.
Right, thank you. I forget it's only June.
Yeah. So we have a month to play with there.
That's right.
on that.
That's right.
Okay.
Anything else?
No,
Okay. so
No, we're
rolling that
rolling.
one too.
yeah, we're good. Well, and I brought these down. These are all the plans for all the projects we have going right now. If anybody wants to look at something, or, you know, needs to paper a bathroom, or plug a hole, or whatever.
Meter replacement.
A lot going on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Meter replacement?
Yeah, I think the plan is that we would like to replace all our meters 2 inches and above and complete the installation of all the radios for the system. You know, that'll lead to efficiencies. We'll have additional revenue from the large meters. We know from the work that we did that our domestic meters are pretty well accurate right now. They don't really need to be replaced. It'll allow us to read meters in a matter of hours as opposed to days. So the staff will be free to do other things, so there's a lot of efficiencies there. I'm working on getting new pricing, updated pricing, so that we can develop a budget. I think it's gonna be around $1.5 million. And then I need to get buy-in from the city and talk to John about how the best way to share these costs are. I've got a couple of ideas, I wanna see what he has to say about them. And I don't think we should even attempt to do this until 2020. I mean, it's just not something that,
You got too much else going on.
there's too much else going on. And
And, I mean, you're still gonna have to go out to bid for that, right?
no, not
Or a
necessarily.
request for a proposal or something?
Well, if we can, depending upon the meter, I think we're fairly well know what meter we're gonna go with, but because of the work that one of the other competing companies put into this, we'd like to give them both an opportunity to come in and make their case why we shouldn't stay with where we are. I talked to the gentleman from the distributor yesterday about that. Because I want to just make sure that my understanding and what we need is what's accurate. So I want to confirm all that. Both meter companies, meters are sole source distributors.
Okay, so,
So
once you specify what we're,
the meters themselves, you can't go to bid on. That's, you know, the way the world works in the meter world is, you know, XYZ distributor distributes Neptune and 1, 2, 3, and they don't mess, there's no cross-referencing. There's just, if you're gonna buy a Neptune meter, you're gonna buy it from Thai Sales if you live in New York State.
okay,
Or you're gonna buy it directly from Neptune. However, the installation and all those things that we would need, we could contract with that directly through a contract, municipal bid, that kind of thing, public notice, however, you know, run. Or we could do it through, the meter companies will handle that and they will include that in the cost of the meters. So you gotta look at which is the most cost effective. So I don't really have an answer. But we're
in any case, we're still looking at,
a year away.
yeah, well, it's 6 months.
Well, yeah, you
Just-
want to have everything in place early in 2020 and then do the work in the warmer months.
Okay,
On a related thing, we're also just contracted to have, and we included it in the budget under distribution, to do the Grandview pump station for a leak survey. We, last fall, if you recall, we did the Foxhole Avenue pump station. We have finally gotten to fix all the leaks that were identified. We're saving 500,000 gallons a day. And I think we have as many leaks. I have no reason to believe we're not gonna achieve similar results doing Grandview.
500,000 gallons a day.
Sure, we went from a 4.2 average flow to a 3.8. Now, we kind of, Ryan and I sat down and this is the city of Kingston, this is our pipe, this is our diagram. So this is the Foxhole pump station. Debbie colorizes, she's really good about this, that's why she's gonna do the GIS. She did all this. This is the Foxhole pump station, that Florence Street tank, this is the neighborhood it serves. It's not intuitive. This is Grandview. This is about 11 miles of pipe, this is about 9. We figure the next place we ought to go after we get that done, and it doesn't benefit us to do the whole city at once, because there's only 6 guys to fix the leaks we find. So you might as well do this, fix these leaks, and then move downtown where the pressures are very high. So a small leak there is gonna waste a heck of a lot more water than one up here. Then move over here or here on both sides of Broadway. So, and obviously this is about the same amount of pipe as here. This is a little more, this is a little more, and then there's congestion. So we'll talk with the company, but over the next 3 or 4 years, we'd like to get it all done.
Well, and then water that you save gives you the capacity to sell to somebody else.
Yes.
And-
It also
and-
eases the pressure on production at the plant.
Right.
It's gonna help with Cooper Lake if they have to buy water from somebody else. We're about the same size as Newburgh. Demographically, everything else.
I mean, that's an incredible number.
It is.
And so that, you know, that gives you opportunity for revenue and takes pressure off of the system.
Oh, yeah, and it makes everybody's life easier.
Wow.
Gives better service and everything like that. Newburgh did this a couple years ago. They got a really, really energetic, they have a really young, energetic water superintendent and a city engineer that they work closely with. They reduced their between meters and leakage, they went down to a 3 MGD system. There's no reason why we shouldn't be the same. I mean, you know, I don't think we have any more or less industry than they do.
Right.
It's all, whatever, so, we'll see. So I'm encouraged by both. So expect to see people up in Grandview neighborhood probably in another month. So,
and you'll have something for next meeting on the meter
Meters.
replacement?
yeah, well, we'll keep working on that. We'll
Okay.
keep moving that down the road. Not gonna devote, you know, days and days and days to it because it's just, At this, it's too far down the road, we've got these other things to kind of, anyway,
Okay. Cross-connection control policy?
so, yes. Now, Dennis and I met late last week, very briefly. I mean, I was running to the construction meeting. So that's why I was taken off. So that was the 5th of June we met. Dennis had some comments on what I sent out. So I don't expect this to be adopted because I didn't have time to send it out. But this is a copy of the cross-connection control regulations. The mayor at the last meeting made some recommendations to make them consistent with the policy. So I've upgraded those basically to define multifamily housing in here. So that's here, if anybody wants to take those home and read them. You have trouble sleeping, so probably help. And these are the updated regulations. Dennis, one of his suggestions was that it's all confusing. When you talk about a new backflow device, there's a couple of different categories. One is an existing water service, which is where we have the trouble with the compliance. And the other one is they're installing a service or new construction, where we just don't set the meter unless we get the compliance. So, but I separated them out.
Yeah, because it was kind of confusing because we
Yeah.
were mixing apples and oranges in the process of
Right.
giving the person time when, if you don't have a service there, then obviously you're not going to give them service until the device is installed, so.
So it was two different, I was trying to do everything at once, and I needed him to tell me, stop mixing apples and oranges. Anyway, so, look them over, hopefully we can vote on them next month.
Yeah, I guess if you have any comments, get them to Judy.
Yeah, and
As soon
I
as
can sit
possible.
down with you, some of these questions you have on here don't apply, and I can explain why, and the other ones, yeah, so. We can do that whenever you want.
Thank you.
I'm really always amazed at how much stuff is going on.
Thank you. So I have a great hair.
We'll start the room in terms of light.
You know, I wish it would, but I found I had the nicest white hair. But
Okay, correspondence?
I have one thing, and I apologize, I didn't print it out, but it's an email from a customer. And just give me a second here and I will pull it up.
Here, I need to see if you want to see hard copy.
Oh, thank you. That's right, I copied you on that. So this is from Jerry Blake, longtime customer, really nice person, comes in the office, very pleasant lady. She paid her water bill on time, forever. She is not happy that she paid it late because she claims she never received the original bill. I don't doubt that. And we had I think Matt was, Andrew and Matt, and we were all involved in the conversation. I happened to come down and she was standing there. I don't doubt she didn't receive the original bill. She understands that her argument's with the post office, not us. But she doesn't like the format on the bill. Because the format on the bill, if you have, so when she looked at her bill when she opened it this time, she saw the unpaid quarter and this one. And she doesn't like the fact that she said the original arrears amount should be there and the arrears penalty, a total, and then that should be added to the current amount. I said, okay. So I asked Jane, who is kind of our NEMIS expert, and this is a CAN system. And we have a blank on the bottom where it says penalty for the arrears. What's in, and that's because that's put on there for systems that do a % a month. Ours is a one-time 10%, never gets any worse until it goes off our books and goes on to the cities. I didn't know that when I was speaking to her. So I promised her that I would share this with you. So her email says, in regard to my water bill I received, I'm writing to you regarding the overage charge on my bill because I never received the original bill. I spoke with you in the office today and stated they should show on the bill how much you are charged over the original bill. I've always paid my bills on time, and needless to say, I was shocked when I got this double bill. I think since you charge late fees, you should also give it back when someone is a great paying customer. And I did explain to her that if this were my personal water company, a private business, I would absolutely do that in customer service. Because this is a public money in a municipality, state law says we can't do that. Anyway, that's her letter.
Okay.
So I will tell her that I shared it with you, and
And we're sorry about what happened.
I am, yeah. Anyway, the bill's paid in full, so.
So is there anything that we can do on our bill in regards to her comment?
Jane will research it further, but I think that in order to do it, it would cost us a considerable fee to customize that bill. And that's something I can bring back here, but I will tell you, this is the very first time that since we've had this bill since 2007. We've heard about complaints, but I've never heard about that one. So let's find out what it would cost to change it,
Okay.
and then, and take it from there. We certainly, if somebody wants to know, we can always give them that information over the phone.
Mhm.
I mean, Jane and Andrew often break that information out for people.
Okay, so you'll correspond back to
I will,
her with
I will,
what
and
you need from
I can
us?
copy, just Dennis, I can copy everybody on that, just so you see, it doesn't matter, whatever you prefer.
Okay.
So,
Anything else then?
none in correspondence, no.
Okay, superintendent's report?
There's a comment there about the maintenance and repair work is lagging behind. Is that a quality concern? Is there something we have to authorize overtime or anything?
No, it's, the city's got 3 projects that we got dragged into. It's taking up a lot of our resources. Blacktop plant, I mean, we had a terrible one, we had a lot of holes to blacktop. The weather's been terrible. It's just, and we have 6 guys to do the work. And maybe after tonight, we'll have 8 guys to do the work, and that will help. It's
Did we
kind
have
of,
an issue with Central Hudson markouts in the
we
past?
do,
You've always had an issue there.
yeah,
right? It's
they
just
call
been-
well, they've got 4 crews in town.
Yeah.
The problem is, they're trying to do 10 years worth of work in 5 years. That's a stated goal that they have. So this past week, they had 4 gas line crews in town in different, it took me 20 minutes to get back here one day because I went out, went over Foxhole Avenue, and I said, well, I'm gonna be smart, I'm not coming back that way, because I had to wait for the flag guy. So I looped around, I came back to Broadway, and there were 2 flagmen. I mean, I was like, okay, you can't wait.
Like going uptown, well, it used to be.
Yeah.
You go down Pearl Street and all of a sudden
You did a detour.
They're
detour,
working on the gas
road's
lines
closed, and then
everywhere.
turn into
Exactly.
another street, and that one's closed, and
Right, so a couple, there's 4 crews, the contractor's pretty good. There's one of the crews, the operator's less experienced than the other, or less careful than the other. This guy has ripped out several service laterals, we've had to, stop what we're doing and go and fix them. We charge them for the materials and all that, but it's still, we're stopping what we're doing to do that. So yeah, that's really the only issue. They also call everything in twice because they have to. So when they're doing the gas main line, they call that, and we have to mark out that whole street. 3 or 4 weeks later, when that all is done, then a separate crew comes in, different excavator, different excavation, and now we have to go back and we have to mark all of the services. So that they hook them in. So it's, for every street they do, there's 2 sets of markouts, just the way it has to be, I guess.
You know what I'd like to see? I mean, I'd like to see our debt service over time, where it was a couple of years ago, because it seems
Okay.
like it's going up, and it's going to keep going up, and it'd be interesting to see it as a percentage of revenue, because I'd like to know where we're going, if we keep adding on debt,
Okay,
because it affects rates.
does.
And unless, we go through a population explosion or have more users, it's going to,
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely going up.
It's going up. I mean, I just saw the note here, you know, about the driver and the increase in non-operating expenses is debt service. And I'm just curious about what it looks like.
Okay, we can, that's easy, you know, we can certainly do that. And,
And, you know, how much more can we add?
well, the other issue is, perception is an issue with people. Anytime you want to rate, if you say 2% of a water bill that's $50, they still hear the 2%, they don't realize the little bit of money that is.
Right.
But when you talk about your tax bill going up 2%,
It's big.
it's big, much bigger. And I also can give you a survey of water rates overall in the state, and my personal view, it's skewed. Water's very underpriced and undervalued.
Well, it's taken for granted, most people.
Right. So
You know, the question, you know, I have no doubt that it's not that high, and that we can add more debt service, and we need to do all these projects.
got it.
I mean, you don't have any choice with Cooper Lake, and you've got to modernize the system.
Mhm.
And the only place you're going to get the money from it is bonding. And, but, you know, someone may ask that question of you,
No,
and so,
it's a nice graphic.
yes,
Yeah. And I have some of that in terms of rate increases.
and how it relates to the rate increases.
Right, I have all that,
Right.
it's just a question of taking all that data and putting it in a form that you want to use.
It's a good idea.
It is a good idea. Yes,
Okay.
we'll do that.
Any questions or any other questions on the superintendent's report? Motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept the report.
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Executive session,
Yes, we have,
discussion of personnel issues.
well, yes, we have a couple of people I'd like you to hire. Done the reviews and-
You ready to go?
So, motion to move into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Bob second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.